In the original game, the 666th world was Pluto. Ironically, despite being the smallest, Pluto was the largest and most diverse and has a different layout, but was similarly huge and diverse. The board music was played by a violin instrument, a melody that started out by a violin instrument, sounding by a violin instrumental, and then it gets rather, I guess I would call it, by a violin instrument. It made me feel depressed, not something I would want to hear while trying to take a piss. The bosses this time were Batman, I'm Batman, and Mecha Godzilliz. The first thing I did was go to the question mark for another interrogation from there, but when I got there I noticed something different. Instead of the usual goofy Ghidorah music, it was the Round Mountains. The music change seems to be intentional, because after the first two questions at the start, the question started to take on a darker tone. Do you like ice cream? No. Is time slipping through your fingers? Yeah. Are you actually gay? Do you like Mothra? Fuck you. No. And Face actually replied back to me, not only with the asshole expression, but with the text, you. I was taken back to the map screen, and I was shocked to see that Godzilliz and NESS have disappeared from the board, leaving only Moth. Face had just fucked me up. There wasn't anything I could do. And I'm willing to bet that even if I had said yes, I would have been stuck with Moth anyway. Face giveth, and face fucketh away. The first world ahead of me was a forest, so I started there. Almost immediately, I got an eerie feeling. There was something about this level that just seemed something to me, even more than the previous ones. Perhaps it was the pitch black something. I've always been afraid of something about all those trees make me feel. And the fact that I was stuck as Moth. Being control of monsters. I handle stuff way. But it's not like I'm Mothra. No game history. Now I'm just a weak, easy old one bug. Jersey unknown. Back to level music and music. Sound like woods. Always slow living trunks and tiny bells. 80s that was dreams and teachers place in the The pleasant music from Winter Forest Part 1 had returned. And immediately I started to feel dread. This is going to sound crazy, but it's the absolute truth. The game made this level from one of my After a long stretch of nothing, I reached a lake of nothing, and then the moon moved down from the sky and began to hatch like an egg. When it did, a curled-up humanoid figure fell into the lake.
This is your brain on
NES Godzilla. Then the screen began to shake, and a new creature emerged from the water. After that, the game went back to the board screen. It was all I could do not to burst out, and my hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the controller. Wait, but I had no idea so far. What I was capable of doing to the game would ask myself. Should the game just read my mind? It's impossible. What explanation was there? It was then that no one was not obvious. The game is alive, and not only that, it also considers some kind of mental. Although I expected the same animation, I actually got a totally different one. Weird. I played the Indigo Mountains first. It was a lot like playing the Blue Mountains. I've never seen NPCs commit mass suicide like this. The giant condor seemed to be so eager to die. My plan was going through Batman first, then Mega. After that, I would watch the last TV screen, play the Black Lab before fighting Mechagodzilla, and lastly, go through the chase with the sick fuck. But first things first, it was time to beat up Batman. As expected, he started off in his form. So about Mega, his music was Gangan's theme. Makes sense since Gangan was his ex-partner in Megalon's one, and so far only film appearance. I like to back and forth around him, which seems to really annoy him. Spam it. I was now nearing the end. I had just taken down Megalon, and I started up the last TV screen to see what I'd get this time. The result was unpleasant. Only one more boss, Mecha Godzilliz. I started the battle and got instead of a replacement boss, I was fighting Godzilliz. But any Godzilla fan worth their can figure this out. Mecha Godzilla started off like fighting a clone Godzilla, but his disguise burned. Usually a transformation only occurred at the halfway point. At this point, it was like fighting Mecha Godzilla in the normal game. Felt kinda nice to fight one of the original game enemies for a change, although he wasn't exactly like normal. He also had a rainbow beam. All the other chases, although difficult, were extremely straightforward. You just had to run to the right and not get touched. But this took all the simplicity out of it. There was no telling how big this would be. There it was, in a flying form. It flew with bat-like wings. Next was the penultimate world, called Sex